Today is a very different Tuesday video, and if you have the time to watch this and make a comment, I would really appreciate it. I have some footage that you may have already seen that has gone viral, and I want us to have a look at this objectively, and then I would like you to articulate your standpoint. Before I do, I want to do two things. Firstly, I want to tell my international visitors what it's like to be an Australian, and secondly, what I think of the police that we have in this country. I take my job very seriously, and in my professional capacity, I think maybe I have failed as an educator. I need to rethink my approach. Cheers, Rudy. And thank you so much for choosing Australia as your home. So what is it like to be an Australian? Well, it's the bare feet on singeing sand, the hiss of the water coming to the shore, crooning about the novelty of a white Christmas in blazing 40-degree heat. This is Australia. But what does it truly mean to be an Australian? To the rest of the world, we are a muse, admired for our multiculturalism, our wicked and sometimes misunderstood sense of humour, and that oh so sexy accent which many around the world try and fail to imitate every day. We are unique. We have thousands of species of animals that can kill you, and we're proud of that. We have our own epic slang, a language in itself, and neighbours of all different races. There is no such thing as an average Australian. As human beings, we tend to classify people. We put them into boxes and stick labels onto them. We really are privileged to live in this country that we do. Perhaps the most important to me is that we are accepting of others, no matter what country they may have immigrated from. This is the nature of being Australian. It is the very fabric of our society. Australia being multicultural and accepting of foreigners is an Australian value. It's in the second verse of our anthem. And yes, at the end of the day, sure, maybe international shipping costs a bomb, and the UK's heat waves are like our spring. But Australia is honestly such an innately beautiful place in every way possible. I love the passion of our country, no matter what we're doing. It's a country full of go-getters in sport, at home, in the workplace. I love the way that we're always trying to squeeze in as much as possible in the day, especially in the summer days, so we don't waste a minute of life. I love the way that we celebrate our beautiful country, the mountains, all the spaces that we have, the beaches, the inland areas. It's part of us all. To most Australians, it means hanging around with family, playing backyard cricket. It means surfing from when the sun comes up to when the sun goes down. It definitely means barbies with friends and families and giving it to each other. We don't care whether you are the worst barbecuer in the world or the king of the barbecue. This is Australia. I want to take a breath for a moment and gather my thoughts. I was doing some work recently with a group of young offenders, and this was the response that I received when I asked, "What do you think of the police?" The response was, "Fuck the police." To be absolutely crystal clear, I am not a police officer. I'm not a correctional officer. I'm not a public servant, nor am I a youth or social worker. I do, however, speak at seminars and conferences about the impact violence has on our society and how to de-escalate abusive and hostile confrontations. And I've been doing this for well over 15 years. It is not uncommon that I hear those three words on a regular basis. In July last year, a note was handed to me by a young female officer in her mid to late 20s. She said, "Please do not read this and respond to this until you get home and give it some thought." She said, "I know you address a ton of people a week, and I'm curious to know how you would answer this." The note read, "Gerald, what do you think of the police?" I've taken some time to think about this and carefully structure my words. And so I wanted to dedicate this video to all the brave men and women who risk their lives on a daily basis to keep this country, Australia, safe from domestic and alien invasion. So this is what I think. Most police officers love their job. They enjoy going to work, and they are probably at their absolute happiest when they know they have helped the good citizens of Australia. They are there when your baby has died. Nothing affects them more than carrying a baby into a white coffin in an ambulance. They have fought with you and I when we were drunk or just angry. Generally, in the past, we would later apologise, but sadly no longer. They have attended your house to resolve your domestic disputes over who owns the remote control. Most of these officers are generally rookies, and you are probably well into your 30s and beyond. Police officers have picked up your 6-year-old child when they were lost in the woods and upset. These are the officers who kept your children safe. In the line of duty, these good men and women have protected your government ministers, staying neutral in public. But I've never seen so much personal hatred of the officers who risk their lives every day to protect and serve us. As the majority of you go about your day crunching numbers, digging ditches, or trying to make a sale, or even isolating yourself in your home, it is our police officers who pick up the pieces from their work colleagues who have fallen apart after cutting your son down from the loft where he hung himself, or pumping the stomach of your daughter who was trying to commit suicide. They have chased those kids who burgled your house, caught them and got them a conviction in court and sent them to prison, only to be let down by the judicial system who will slap them with a community service. When Parenting 101 has failed you and you tell your kids, "Get the fuck out of my house," because you're too busy with your own life, it is then the police who have talked your son down from the roof of the building where he had threatened to throw himself off because no one cares. Who sits with you after you were raped by an alleged friend of yours? Who takes you to court, sometimes in their own car? Who argues with the barristers on your behalf? When you're out drinking, gambling or partying, who do you think sits with your very neglected children in the back of the car while they wept for their mum or dad who did not know how to look after them safely, but whom they still loved? This is not everything that the police officers have to deal with. There are thousands of men and women doing more than this every single day to protect you. And yes, some of them make mistakes, make really bad decisions, have ego trips, even commit crimes and are corrupt. I have no time for cops who are criminals. Sometimes police officers get angry, tired and grumpy and act unprofessionally. I am confident that we have a system today that deals with dirty cops and performance manages others. Cops are also people like you and I. They're a wife, a husband, a brother, a sister, a son, a daughter, and some even have young children. They do the school run, the shopping, the cooking, and the cleaning. Cops are human and do get affected by what you say. Last week, you called them a pig, a cunt, or a whore. They are a resilient bunch, and a lot of it is water off a duck's back. Police officers are affected by what they see. We need more police officers. They cannot do any more with the dwindling resources given to them. They cannot investigate every criminal damage, as they would not have the time to stop the domestic abuse which damages your minds far more than the physical abuse. Everything is a priority. I know that. And yet, they are still asked to prioritise. Coppers don't want pity. They are happy to continue to look after you. They fight for you, to save you from further harm. But like you, they also want to be able to come home to their families. Yeah, right. Fuck the police. Given what I have just said about how proud I am to be an Australian and how much I respect the good men and women who will come to you and your aid when you need them most, can someone please help me understand what is happening to this country that I love? This next story is quite disturbing and I have very little to say apart from I'm ashamed and embarrassed. Take a look.
Guys, you guys are public servants. You should be serving the public. You're not serving the public now. You guys took an oath. You took an oath under the constitutional law to defend the public. You're not doing that. You know, I don't know how you guys can go home in honour tonight and try and infringe me with the notice which I don't consent to, because we're doing nothing wrong. You guys should be here holding the signs with us, defending us. So I don't consent to what you're doing.
Look at this.
Okay? I don't consent. We're acting safely. We're not acting in aggression. So I do not consent to giving my name. There is no name to give. Exactly. Am I under arrest? Am I being detained here?
No, I'm just trying to speak to you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
So would you like to
I'm not
listen?
under arrest, am I?
You are
I'm not being detained. I'm free to go.
I am asking for your name because I do believe you're committing an offence. Do you understand that?
I'm not committing a crime. I'm being detained.
I understand.
Am I being detained? No. Thank you. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for, I hope that you're all here supporting and caring for us. Maybe you guys can carry a sign too. I'd love to. Okay?
I am going to be asking permission to arrest you, okay?
I do not consent.
I understand that.
You guys are good people deep down.
So, have a beautiful day.
It's sad that
Thanks.
you have to do this.
Thanks very much. It is,
because
because it's our
guys,
rights.
they're doing their jobs and look what they have to be.
Yeah, I have 3 under 6 and this is
what a
what I'm
shame.
teaching them. I go to sleep with honour at the end of the night. With honour, knowing that I've defended my rights. I'm here fighting for not just myself and my kids, but for your children too.
That's right.
So, thanks guys. Have a good day. I'm going to keep walking. Fantastic. Not under arrest for anything.
Why is she under arrest?
You need to get
Why is she under arrest? Can you grab the chest? Can you grab the picture, please? Immediately. Why is she under arrest?
Come on.
Why is she under arrest? Why is she under arrest? Why? Why is she under arrest? Why is she under arrest? Why is she under Prove it. Prove why she's under arrest. Stop. Prove why she's under arrest. Where is the order? You are not getting the order. Victor! 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 Why is she under arrest?
Everyone you choose her. You choose her out of everyone. You choose her out of everyone. You choose her.
I'm passing that to her. Why?
She's got a baby. She's got a fucking baby. You don't touch the baby. Leave her alone. Leave her alone. What are you proving, you fucking scumbag? What are you proving? You're not me. Everybody, they got a woman with a child. Out of everybody, this is fucking shit. This is shit. Out of everybody, they got a woman.
She's not done anything wrong. She's not done anything wrong.
Come on, be reasonable.
Come on. Let her go. She's done nothing wrong. Hold her boy. What has she done?
Look what you're doing, mate.
What has she done? What has she done?
Calm down. Calm down.
You are done. No, I'm not. I'm not ground. Come on. I have not committed no offense. You're scaring my son. What offense has she done? Away from me and my son.
What has she done? Look.
Me and my son.
She hasn't done anything.
I shall fucking go.
No, you're not young.
I don't know his son. That is his mother. He needs to be with his mother.
Come
Don't
on.
take him away from his mother.
Guys, just stay back.
Oh my goodness.
I'm listening to you.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to get a fucking baby from your mother. Give me the kid. Give me the kid. Give me the kid. Give me the kid, please. You'll feel safer with me. Can I just have the kid?
No.
The kid is not going to feel safer with
Give
the
the kid
police.
to somebody, please.
No.
Let's do it to somebody.
Look, we can't just give it to any random
Look,
people.
look what
Okay?
this represents to the child. You've taken his child.
Yes, you'll be coming back with us.
This is what you signed up for?
There are lots of bits missing between the first video and the second video, and there needs to be more context around what has happened. The mother of 3 was fined for breaching social distancing and arrested for not giving police her name. She was wearing a sign that read, "If you don't know rights, you don't have any, Magna Carta," and was taking part in a protest as part of the Exercising My Rights group. New South Wales Police confirmed that she was arrested for refusing to obey the directions of police. The New South Wales Police Deputy Commissioner, Gary Warboys, said today that lady was approached by police, asked to provide some particulars so a very simple process could then take place, but for whatever reason, she became quite hysterical. Her name was Renee Altacritti. She's 36 and was fined by police after the protest. The Deputy Commissioner said that the officers moved the group on after explaining that they were not authorised to protest and were not complying with social distancing regulations. One woman refused to give officers her details and would not comply with their direction to move on. She was placed under arrest, however, resisted and struggled with officers. She was taken to the Surrey Hills Police Station where she was issued an infringement notice for failing to comply with directions relating to COVID-19 social distancing restrictions. My closing comments are short. To the protesters and Renee, what the hell are you doing bringing a 4-year-old child to what you call a peaceful assembly and a protest? That, in my eyes, is child abuse, and you acted in the most irresponsible way. You knowingly brought a child into an environment where the potential for conflict was high. Do what you gotta do, but leave the child at home. These are adult issues, and children should not be subjected to this. Shame on you. Now to the officers. What happened? You will go home tonight looking at your child, and I want you to think, if any civilian was to do this to your child, how would you react? Take a breath for a moment. She wasn't a woman with a dangerous weapon. She was exercising her human right under Article 11 of the Human Rights Act. Please show me in the handbook where it says to traumatize a child. You know you have more discretionary powers than what the public thinks. Call a social worker, engage with a parent or guardian, and remove the child to a safe space. What happened to compassion and working to your oath? Shame on you. Please use this video as a training tool on how to become the professional you signed up for. That child will be traumatized for life. And I've asked myself, why would any person want to hate the police so much? The ones that are there to protect and serve. Why? Why would any person say, fuck the police? I have many current and retired police officers who follow my weekly videos. Thank you. And I would like to hear from you as well. Get a new Google account and remain anonymous if you like. Then tell me how long you have served to protect the citizens of your nation. This is not cool. I have nothing else to say. Cheers, Rudy.